Hello friends, welcome back to your UPSC. Today in Oceanography we will be completing marine deposit and oceanic resources. So let's get started. First we will start with oceanic deposit, also known as marine deposit. Marine deposit, as the term suggests, it refers to all the material that are being deposited on the bottom of the sea or ocean or any water body. Okay? So we can see that there is great bulk of eroded material from the ocean that is ultimately deposited on the ocean floor. Okay, so the great bulk of sediment that is brought down and poured in the ocean by the rivers, this deposition is known as oceanic deposit. So here we have continental mass, here we have ocean or water body. Okay, so the rivers they deposit their load ultimately in the ocean, and this load is known as oceanic deposit. Okay, and beside this, there are other agencies of erosion, transportation, and deposition, like we have glaciers, we have winds, we have waves, which carry the land to the water. Okay, now this depositional process, it involves erosion, transportation, and deposition. Then we can see that there is deposition of flora and fauna on the ocean floor. See, whatever the marine organisms that are present in the ocean, they die. Okay, so they die and they settle on the floor of ocean. Okay, so their dead bodies they settle on the floor of ocean. So this also contribute in the formation of oceanic deposit. Then we have the material that is brought in water from the interior of the earth. See, we have various volcanic eruption, we have landslides, then we have like fissures. Okay, so these things they bring out the interior material of earth, and this material they deposit in the oceanic floor. Okay, and hence contributing in oceanic deposits. Then another thing we have extraterrestrial material. Extraterrestrial material, the best example we have meteors. So the meteors that fall on the ocean, they get deposited in the ocean bottom, and they also contribute in oceanic deposit. Okay. Now as we have seen the definition and introduction of oceanic deposit, now we will look into classification of marine sediments. So the marine sediments are derived from many sources, but there are four basic sources of the sediments, that is rock, organic material, water, and the cosmos. In the fact, the fundamental classification of marine sediments is based on their origin. Okay, so the following classification, this classification of marine sediment is therefore based on their basic sources. So we have classified marine sediments into four basic types. These are lithogenesis sources, then we have biogenous sources, then we have hydrogenous sources, then we have cosmogenous sources. Now in lithogenous source, as the word suggests, it is derived from the rock. Okay, so these lithogenous sediments, they are derived from rocks. So thus we can say that the source of lithogenous sediments are rock of the earth crust. Okay, and in these type of sedimentation, there are two processes which are responsible for weathering of rocks, whether of igneous or sedimentary type of rock. Okay, so the two processes that are involved are disintegration and decomposition. So disintegration means the material breakdown of the existing mechanical breakdown of the existing rock, and decomposition, it involves chemical change in the rock. Okay, so here in it we have disintegration and decomposition. Okay, so these are the two processes involved. Okay, now these disintegrated rocks or weathered rock material, they are soluble and they pass into solution. Some of them are soluble and they pass into solution. Some of them are carried away, so through water or river, we can say river, so they carry them to ocean, and in ocean they are either in dissolved form or in non-dissolved form. Okay, and these are known as lithogenous sediments. Okay, along with river we have other important erosional materials, like we have wind, glaciers, that carry away the sediments and deposit them in ocean basin. Okay, then we have another one, that is biogenous sediment. Biogenous sediment, they comprise of insoluble remains of organism. See, we all know that organism when they die, most of the part is dissolved. Okay, so most of the part is dissolved, but we have various things like teeth, bone, and another thing, that is protective covering, that we can see in various animals like mollusks, and we have corals. So these protective coverings and teeth and bone, they remain undissolved. Okay, so these insoluble remains of organism, they comprise of biogenous sediment. Okay, and these biogenous sediment, they mainly comprise, or they most commonly comprise of calcium carbonate and silica. Okay, so we have CaCO3 and SiO2. Okay, these are the most common chemical compound found in these type of sediments. Okay, now in calcareous deposit, that is here, we contain the most common particle that is contained is like protective covering of foraminifera, we have coccolithophores, then we have pteropods. So these organisms have protective covering, and this protective covering, it comprises of CaCO3. Okay, and these animals when they die, these protective covering, they remain undissolved, and these now contributes in oceanic deposit. Sorry, these now contribute in oceanic deposit. Then we have siliceous siliceous sediments, which contain diatoms and radiolyra. Okay, so they have shells. Okay, and these shells are like the protective covering. These shells are also undissolved in water. Okay, and they act as, they contribute in oceanic deposits. Okay, so we can simply say that these biogenous sediments, they are organic in origin. Now these biogenous sediments, they are divided into two type on the basis of depth of the animals that are found. So they are classified into two, that is benthoic and planktoic. Planktonic. Okay, benthonic. Okay, so we have benthonic and planktonic. Now, the benthonic sediments comprise of remains of animals and plants living on the ocean floor. Okay, and since they exist on the bottom floor, these flora and fauna, they exist on the bottom, so the existence is rendered impossible in the dark depth of ocean. Hence, the sediments are found only in the coastal shallow water. So, see, in the depth of ocean, we can't see, we don't have any flora and fauna. Okay, or we have very less flora and fauna here. So the benthonic sediments that are found, they are found in ocean floor. So these ocean floors, they are near the shore, which are having less depth. Okay. Then we have planktonic. Planktonic sediments are formed on the floor of deep ocean basin from the remains of animals and plants which actually live in the subsurface layer of ocean. Okay, where the sunlight is able to penetrate. Okay, so this is on the sea floor and these are on the subsurface layer. Okay, now we have another one, that is hydrogenous sediment. Hydrogenous sediment, as the word suggests, is derived from water. So these sediments or these type of sediments result in the chemical reaction occurring within the seawater. So we can see the manganese deposit, the phosphorite deposit, the gluconite deposit are the minerals that are formed by the chemical precipitation of water. Okay, and the rate of accumulation of these sediments is very slow. Okay, because the salt content in water is less. Okay, so solution, in the solution the amount of salt content will be less, so their deposition will also be very slow. Then we have cosmogenous sediment. Cosmogenous sediments are derived from meteoric dust falling from the outer space. Okay, Uh, so these sediments are less important and they are even less important than the inorganic precipitants. Okay. Now, as we have done the classification of marine sediments, now we will look into sources of marine deposits. Now, in sources of marine deposit, for the sake of convenience, we have classified them into 6 broad categories. So the first one is trigenous deposit, then we have volcanic deposit, then we have pelagic deposit, then we have inorganic precipitation, then we have deposit from the product of chemical transformation occurring in the sea water. Lastly, we have meteoric dust and extraterrestrial material that contribute in marine deposit. Okay, so trigenous deposit, we can see that the river flowing on the land surface erodes different type of rock, that is igneous rock, sedimentary rock and metamorphic rock, and the eroded material is obtained from the disintegration and decomposition of these rocks only, and these rocks are transported and dropped into the seawater. The mechanical disintegration does not bring about any change in chemical composition of the rocks. It is simply the breakdown of these rock into smaller pieces of different sizes. ठीक है? Okay. So the we have disintegration involved in it and we have decomposition. Okay, so disintegration does not involve any sort of chemical change, while decomposition, it actually involves chemical change in the chemical composition of the minerals. Okay, now these trigenous deposits, they are classified in various ways on the basis of texture. We have classified these sediments in the form of sand, silt sand, then we have silty sand, then we have sandy silt, then we have silty mud, then we have clay mud. Okay, so sand is it contains more than 80% of the material coarser than 62 microns in diameter. Okay, so it is having more porous material. Sand is having most porous material. Then we have silty sand. Okay, so it is containing 50 to 80% coarser material. Then we have sandy silt, which contains 50% coarser material than 5 microns. Okay, and 20% coarser material than 62 microns. Okay, Lastly, then we have silty mud. Okay, and lastly we have clay mud. Okay, so we can simply say that this trigenous deposit, they have cobbles, pebbles, then we have granules, then very coarse sand, then we have coarse sand, then medium coarse sand, then fine sand, then very fine sand, then coarse silt, medium coarse silt, fine silt, coarser clay, medium clay, fine clay, very fine clay, and colloid. Okay, so these are arranged on the basis of size. So the biggest one is boulder, then we have cobble, then we have pebbles. Okay, so these are based on the size. Now, lastly, we have mud. These mud, they are silt containing very fine particles of rock whose diameter it ranges from 3.9 to 3.12 micron. Okay, so these particles are smaller than silt and they are known as mud. Okay, and the mud, on the basis of different colors, it is classified into three. We have blue mud, which occupies the largest area in the sea floor. Okay, the most of this mud is found in deep sea in the vicinity of continent and the partially enclosed sea. Okay, blue mud is formed from the sediments obtained from disintegration and decomposition of such rocks which involves or which includes iron sulfide. Okay, then we have red mud. Red mud is called red because, or it is red because of prominence of iron oxide in this type of mud. Okay, and this red mud, it we can find it in large area of Yellow Sea, coastal seas of Brazil. Then we can find it all in Atlantic Ocean. Okay, so this type of mud can be found there. Lastly, we have green mud. Green mud is classified or is categorized because of the presence of particles of mineral that is called as gluconite. Okay, so gluconite is the silicate of iron which forms due to decomposition of organic substances. This particular mineral is found in the outer covering of foraminifera. Okay, that we have done. So foraminifera, it contains gluconite. Okay, so these shells, after they decompose, they are the tiny organisms which contain these shells, and these shells, after they decompose, they dissolve in the seawater, and the residue of very small gluconite particles which lends green color to the sand is found, and this is known as green mud. Okay, so it is found near the continental shelves of Atlantic Pacific Ocean, around the North America, and in Australia and South Africa we can find these green mud as well. Okay, then we have organic and carbonic deposits. There are certain continental shelves on the bottom of various kind of on the bottom of them we can see various kind of vegetation and animals. So on the floor of these shelves we can find the deposits or the remains of vegetation and organisms, and these are known as organic deposit. Okay, and after the death the skeletal remains are broken down into small particles by the action of waves, and they are converted into sand and silt. Okay, and these are rich in calcium carbonate, so these also contribute in organic and carbonic. Now we will look into volcanic deposits. Now volcano, as we know that we have two types of volcanoes. First is subaerial volcano, then we have submarine volcano. Okay, so this is submarine volcano and this is subaerial volcano, but the same kind of material is ejected out from both of them. Okay, So if the volcanic material is first deposited on the land and then transported towards the sea, okay, so if the agent is wind, then we can see pumice, which is floating on the surface of sea. Okay, so the wind-borne volcanic material are deposited in the large amount over a large area. Okay, so the volcanic material can be distinguished by various physical and chemical characteristics provided that they are not highly altered. Okay, so the unaltered material containing lava fragment, pumic or volcanic glasses and mineral grains, they can be classified. Okay, so most of the volcanic material, they are found near the areas where we have volcanic activities that are taking place. So we can find them near the coast of Japan. Okay, this ring of fire, Pacific ring of fire, we can find them, and then we can find them near various volcanic islands. Okay, then we have geologic deposit. They cover largest area of deep sea and they contain lithogenous sediments. Lithogenous sediments, these include very fine grained material which are brought or carried by suspension of air or ocean water for a long distance before setting down or settling down in the deep oceanic floor. Okay, then we have pelagic sediments which contain hydrogenous sediment. So the hydrogenous sediments minerals are also found in it. Then we have biogenous sediments like shells of organisms and all, which are collected in the deep sea plains, deep sea bases, floor. Then we have cosmogenous sediments. These cosmogenous sediments, we have fine grained meteoric dust which are found in sediments of deep oceanic basin, which contributes in pelagic deposits. Now pelagic deposit, they are classified into organic and inorganic deposits. So the inorganic deposit is the one which contains less than 30% of organic material, and the organic deposit is the one which contain more than 30% of the organic matter. Okay, now the organic deposit is also known as oozes. Okay, and these oozes uh, are classified on the basis of predominant material that is present in them. So we have two type of oozes, that is calcareous ooze and siliceous ooze. Okay, so the calcareous ooze, it contain globigerina ooze, then we have pteropod ooze, then we have coccolith ooze. Globigerina ooze is found in foraminifera. Pteropod ooze is found in the protective shells of pelagic mollusks, and the coccolith ooze contains large number of coccoliths and rhodolith. Okay, and these are found from minute coccolithophoridates. Okay, then we have siliceous ooze. Siliceous ooze we have of two type, and these pelagic deposits are formed by a large number of percentage of siliceous skeleton material produced by planktonic plants and animals. Okay, so the planktonic plants and animals, they they form these siliceous oozes, and these siliceous oozes, they are further classified into two, that is diatom ooze and radiolarian larian ooze. Okay, so these diatom ooze, they contain phytoplanktonic plants, while the other one, it contains phytoplanktonic animal skeleton. Okay, so it contains the remains of plant and it contains remains of animals. We have inorganic precipitation. Inorganic precipitation is not found in large number, but it is diagnostically, or it contains diagnostically important components such as phosphorite, carbonate, dolomite, amorphous silica, manganese, iron oxide, and etc. etc. Okay, and these inorganic precipitants, they are formed according to Sevdubs. They are formed by the solubility product of some substance which is exceeded. Okay. Then there is another cause, that is the temperature change in seawater, the which brings about certain chemical changes, and it results there are in result there are various type of inorganic substances such as minerals that are deposited on the ocean floor. Okay. The precipitation of inorganic substances may also be the result of removal of carbon dioxide from the photos from where the photosynthesis occur. Okay. So these were the three causes. Then there is another cause, that is change in hydrogen ion concentration or oxidation reduction potential caused by marine animals. Okay. So this also cause inorganic precipitation. Then lastly we have inorganic precipitation, which results due to evaporation in shallow waters of lagoons and seas. Okay. So these are only the deposition of products of chemical transportation transformation occurring in seawater. Okay. Then lastly we have extraterrestrial material. These extraterrestrial material, they contribute in marine sediments. So such sediments or such substances are quite rare, and they never form important part of sedimentation. Okay. So this was about marine deposit. Now we will look into marine resources. Marine resources. First, looking into resources. Resources is anything that is available in nature which is helpful for a human, and it is economically feasible, technologically accessible, and culturally acceptable, is termed as resource. Okay. So marine resource is actually the resources that are found in ocean, seas. Okay. So the marine resource, we can see the ocean is in very huge quantity. We have 3/4 part of world of the whole earth that comprises of ocean, and ocean is containing huge amount of unexplored resources. Okay. And it is a vast energy source. Now, talking about marine energy source, we know that ocean harness various kind of marine energy resources which remain unutilized until now. So we have various resources like tidal energy, wave energy, current energy, oceanic biomass, etc. These are various type of energies that the ocean provide us, but these energy we don't have any technology to access these energies. Okay. Now as we see oil, gas, petroleum, they have become scarce and they are now more costly, and they also pollute environment. So we need some eco-friendly sources of energy that are quite huge in number or quite abundant, so that they don't extinguish like that of oil and petroleum. Okay. So they must be renewable, and they must be eco-friendly and low cost. So for that we have new energy sources such as tidal energy. Energy, it is the form of water power that might be derived from ocean tide in the few places where the conditions are favorable. Okay. Then we have wave energy. So in addition to tidal energy, the fast developing marine technology, it is we also have possibility that we can harness wave energy. This energy is quite dispersed and it is not constant at any place or any point of time. So there is little possibility to harness this. But if we have technology, then we can harness this energy easily. Then we have oceanic current energy. Then we have oceanic biomass energy. So oceanic biomass energy is also one of the possible source of energy from the ocean. Okay, we have certain amount of plants that grow very fast, so it is possible that the marine biomass may be cultivated for energy conservation. Okay, but these energies, they are not, until now they are not technologically accessible as well as economically feasible, so they are not termed as resources. Okay, now we have another thing, that is oceanic thermal energy conservation. So oceanic thermal energy conservation is a very simple concept, and it has been known for quite some time, but recently it has gained momentum due to worldwide search for clean continuous energy source for the replacement of fossil fuels such as coal, oil and natural gas. So see, in the tropical ocean we have, within the 25-degree north and south latitudes, okay, so this is equator, then 25-degree north, 25-degree south, we have temperature difference of about 20 degrees Celsius between the surface layer of the ocean and the water at the depth of 1000 meter, that we have done in the initial classes of oceanography when we have done the temperature difference. Okay, so the vertical temperature difference, there is 20 degrees Celsius of temperature difference. Okay, so due to certain physical processes, there exists a clear stratification between the warm surface of water and cold deep submarine water. Now, the process of harnessing energy is due to the temperature difference, and thus this process is known as ocean thermal energy conservation. Okay, now this should be noted that OTEC, or oceanic thermal energy conservation, is altogether a new source of energy that is very eco-friendly, and it is renewable and non-polluting. But there are technological hurdles that we have to overcome, and to after we overcome this, we have immense potential in OTEC. Okay, now we will look into biological resources. Biological resources, if we compare the food product of land-based agriculture, the contribution of marine animal and plant to the human intake of all protein is small, probably around 4%. Although the most of the protein it comes from fish, marine resources account for only about 10% of the total animal protein consumed by human. Okay, now the fishes, mollusks, they contribute about 14.5% of the total fish meal, and byproduct they are included in the diet of animal raised for the food, and they account for another 3.5%. So about 25% of the annual catch of fish and mollusks, etc., comes from ocean, and rest from the fresh water. So the ocean or marine resources, they are good source of fishes, mollusks, and organic other animals. They are also contributing in marine food resources. So the ocean is the important supplier of food, and all of the great group of animal kingdom contribute to the food supply from the sea. Okay, now marine animal kingdom, it comprises of invertebrate fishes, reptiles, birds, mammals, but the most important one is fishes. Okay, and fishes, they are found at various level, and they are contributing most in marine food resource. So it is one of the world's greatest industry. Okay, and it is the potential source of food for rapidly growing world population. But we can see that the consumption of fish is not even everywhere because it is different from place to place, okay, because of proximity with sea. And on the other hand, we can see that fish consumption is relatively low in meat eating countries such as USA, Argentina, and whereas it is high in Japan and Britain. Like, these countries have very long coastline and they are having small area, okay, so we have more of marine resources here, like in Japan, so they are more of fish eating, unlike USA, Argentina, which are having very huge amount of land. So the inside, if the transportation of fish from the coast towards the center is not very easy. So here the people, they consume more of meat, okay, but the fishes, they contribute a good amount in food resource. Then we have another like algae. Algae. So these algae also contribute in marine food resource. They are also used for medical purpose. Then we have others like whales. Then we have other mollusks. Then we have crabs. So these are, then we have pomfret, prawns. So these are also, they also comprise or they also constitute in marine food resource. Okay. Concept of marine aquaculture, also known as mariculture. So in mariculture, we the animals that are chosen, they are popular marine product. Then they should have high price. They should be easily grown. And they should not have any sort of disease or parasite. Okay. So in simple, we can say that marine aquaculture is the production, or mariculture is the production of luxury food products. Like we have algae, which are grown and sold as a luxury food. Then we have successful form of mariculture in the form of production of oyster, mussels, mussels, and oysters. Okay, so only Japan has launched an important and ambitious program of mariculture in certain selected for certain selected type of fishes like salmon, yellowtail, tuna, poofers, etc. Okay, on the experimental basis. Now the countries like Southeast Asia and Far East countries, they have some estuary fishes farming, and this is also included in mariculture. Now the mariculture, it requires intensive artificial feed and it is a costly affair. Okay, but this is not a solution to solve the problems of world's shortage of animal protein. However, these farming methods are used for production of these expensive type of food products that are famous in market. And for others, we have farming method which in which natural feeding in the estuarian environment is used to have good protein to increase the food supply. Okay, and this improves the management of existing fisheries, and the process of some sort of mariculture is also expected in these. But the mariculture is basically for expensive and popular food products. Okay, now then we have the concept of aquaculture. Aquaculture, it simply means the growing or farming of plants and animal in any water environment under the controlled condition. So aquaculture production it currently account for 1/4 of all the fish that is consumed by the human, and most of the aquaculture it occurs in China and other Asian countries. Okay. Marine aquaculture is also known as mariculture, and it is the farming of organisms that we have done, which are worldwide famous, okay, popular, and have high economic values. And aquaculture it simply involves farming of plants and animal in any water environment. Then we have in biological resource we have drugs. So the modern medical research it estimates that we have perhaps 10% of all the marine organisms that are likely to yield clinically useful compound. Okay. And there are various medicines that are derived from these fishes and marine organisms. So we can say that marine organisms or marine resources are not only for food and energy, they also serves the medical purpose. Lastly, we have marine mineral resources. So first we have salt content. Salt content, as we see, water contains various minerals in the form of salt such as NaCl, MgCl, and others. So these salt contents they have sodium, magnesium, and other minerals which are found in the ocean. Then we have natural gas. Natural gas it consists of volatile hydrocarbon which includes methane, ethane, propane, and butane, and it occurs in the pores of reservoir rock above the oil. Okay, so we have this is a reservoir rock, and here if we have oil, so till here we will have gas. Okay, so this gas is also a mineral resource which we can get from oceans. Okay, so these gases or these products they are commercial product. Then we have another thing known as gas hydrates. Gas hydrates are actually crystalline compounds of water and methane, and they are formed at sufficiently high pressure and moderately cool temperature. Okay, so we need a high pressure and cool temperature for the formation of gas hydrates. Gas hydrates they are found in the outer continental margin and permafrost region of the world. They are very important because its energy content is estimated to be double the amount of total fossil fuel reserve. So the gas hydrates are expected to be the future energy sources. Okay. Then we have two type of gas hydrates. First, on the basis of origin, first is biogenetic, next genic, then we have thermogenic. The biogenic is produced by microbiological degradation of organic matter in the marine deposit where the oxygen is absent, while the thermogenic methane it is produced by non-biological thermocatalytic reaction at high temperature in the deeper part of subsurface. Okay. Then we have methane nodules that occur as an oxide in certain clay rocks or on the deep sea ocean floor in clay and oozes. Then we have phosphorites. Phosphorites are the cementing material which is used or which is accumulated in the nodules and crust. Phosphorite is a rock phosphate having different type of calcium phosphate of which is obtained from apatite. Okay. Now the phosphorite are most abundantly found in the Southern Californian offshore coasts. Okay, and these phosphoritic materials or phosphorite, they occur in the form of phos- phosphatic nodules, phosphatic petals, phosphatic consolidated beds, and phosphate mud banks. Okay, so they are also found in Indian Ocean. Okay, in the form of phosphatic nodules near the coast of North Andaman and off the Coromandel coast in the east, then in the Gujarat coast in the west, and in the northeast African coast, the phosphate occurs off the Cape of Guardafui. Okay. Lastly, we have placer deposits. Placer deposits are defined as the mud of sands and gravels or similar weathered material deposited near the site where they have been weathered from the solid rock and laid down by alluvial deposits. Okay, and such deposits, they contain many valuable minerals such as gold, tin, platinum. Okay, so these placer deposit, because they contain high valuable minerals, they are very important. Lastly, we have sands and gravels, and these sands and gravels, so we have sands and gravels. So these sands and gravels, they are needed for concrete to build the houses, and they are very important source is marine resource. Okay, so that was about marine resource. So that was all for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's lecture. So let's meet in our next class. Till then, take care and have a nice day. Thank you.